All right, I'm Leland Vittert. I'm not going to lunch at her house. President Trump tweeting out threats to shut down the U.S. southern border if necessary as migrant caravans arrive at the border's ports of entry. Brian Yennis has more from West Palm Beach, near where the president is staying, before heading back to Washington. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Leland. Well, deal or no deal? That is the question right now. According to an initial Washington Post report, the incoming Interior Minister of Mexico said that an asylum deal was in place between both countries. And according to this deal, immigrants traveling through Mexico seeking asylum in the United States would have to wait in Mexico while their cases went through the process of the U.S. courts in the United States, a process which could take months or if not years. But this morning, that same Mexican official is denying that there is an agreement. The incoming Interior Minister, Olga Sanchez, saying, quote, there is no agreement of any sort between the incoming Mexican government and the U.S. government. But just hours earlier, Sanchez reportedly said that the agreement between newly elected Mexican President Andrés Obrador and President Trump, called Remain in Mexico, was in fact in place. Though nothing was signed and details needed to be finalized, she called the plan a short-term solution. The White House has not confirmed a deal, but late last night, President Trump tweeted this, quote, migrants at the southern border will not be allowed into the United States until their claims are individually approved in court. We only will allow those who come into our country legally. Other than that, our very strong policy is catch and detain. No releasing into the U.S. All will stay in Mexico. If for any reason it becomes necessary, we will close our southern border. There is no way that the United States will, after decades of abuse, put up with this costly and dangerous situation anymore. Now, Mexican and U.S. officials reportedly hope a new asylum agreement would act as a deterrent to stop future migrant caravans and effectively end catch and release, in which immigrants are released into the United States as their asylum cases are adjudicated. Now, it's a policy that critics and the president say allows immigrants to cheat the system. Now, all of this as the president is making threats here that he's going to shut down the entire border between the U.S. and Mexico if this migrant caravan situation is not dealt with soon. It's a situation that, well, Republican Senator Joni Ernst on another network said while she prefers that did not happen, she's open to the possibility.
Well, we would prefer that we keep it open, so let's work really hard to make sure we're addressing the asylum seekers before they actually come over the border. I think that's the intent of the president, is to divert any issues before they actually happen. So, of course, we don't want to see the border closed, but you know what? Safety of our nation comes first.
Leland, the president is also threatening to shut down the government if he does not receive those $5 billion that he's been asking for the border wall by December 7th. Leland.
Yeah, still a lot of questions exactly what shutting down the border really means. Brian Yennis, West Palm Beach, before the president heads back to D.C. Brian, thanks. Kristen?
Well, this is a live look at demonstrations taking part on both sides of the U.S. southern border right now in San Diego, California. Protests in support of the migrant caravans have broken out. And on the other side, in Tijuana, Mexico, a look at the migrants who have reached the point of entry into the United States. Our Jeff Paul is live in L.A. with the latest. And Jeff, are the protests peaceful so far on both sides?
Yeah, Kristen, we're learning that a group within that caravan right now is, as you mentioned, marching towards the San Ysidro point of entry today. And as you take a look at these live images again, organizers stress this is supposed to be a peaceful protest. Now, at the moment, there aren't any specific numbers on just how many from the caravan will be involved in the demonstration. Organizers tell us they're expecting to march from the sports stadium where the migrants have been staying to Chaparral Plaza. That's near the point of entry into San Diego. At the same time, a group that's organized a march in solidarity on the American side of the border. And as you take a look at these live images, they're trying to show support to that migrant caravan. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol say it's aware of the demonstrations and ready.
We expect that it will be a peaceful demonstration, but nevertheless, we will remain prepared for any contingency that might present itself. I think it's important for me to point out for your viewers and for yourselves that this caravan and this phenomenon and how it's manifested itself is absolutely unique to anything that we had seen in the past.
Now, the mayor of Tijuana is calling this a humanitarian crisis, asking non-governmental organizations to help. But with nearly 5,000 migrants from Central America already crammed into that area, it is likely only to get worse with more on the way. Migrants, though, who've made the journey are trying to remain hopeful.
Well, I'm very stressed because the truth is, this situation is not pleasant, but I'm always in hope of having a positive response from the U.S. authorities.
Now, these marches come just a day after U.S. Customs and Border Protection reported that Border Patrol agents and the Yuma sector had rocks thrown at them from someone who was part of the migrant caravans. Kristen?
I know you'll be watching it closely. Jeff Paul in L.A. Thanks. Leland?
All right, we bring in South Carolina Congressman Ralph Norman. Congressman, nice to see you. Hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. You've always been a strong supporter of the president. He says that he's going to shut down the border, something you'd support as well?
Absolutely, Leland. He's doing the right thing. And, you know, I think the whole idea of a caravan, 10,000 people estimated to come across our borders illegally, it's a safety concern, as Jody Ernst said, and it's something that they're challenging this president on, and he's up to the challenge.
Any idea what shutting down the border actually means?
Well, it means stopping the points of access so that you can have those go through the points and have them do it legally and to go through the court system to seek asylum.
Congressman, we have the Border Patrol, now the U.S. military's down on the border, and there's still zillions of illegal immigrants coming across the border every day. If you close the border, does that mean you're closing it to trade as well, to every semi-tractor trailer that's going back and forth, to every U.S. citizen who wants to come back through the border? I'm confused.
No, they've got measures that will those that are carrying goods and services to this country, they will figure those out. What this is for is caravans of people who have been publicly on this 2,000 trek journey for a month.
I'm still confused, though. What does shutting down the border mean? Because conceivably now the law says you can only come across into the United States legally. Obviously, that's the law. So, but what is shutting down? So, are we saying that is shutting down the border mean that there's not enough already being done? The troops in the Border Patrol aren't enough? They're going to have more troops in Border Patrol? I'm just confused what shutting it down means if it's not already shut down to illegal immigration.
No, if it was shut down completely now, you wouldn't have the 500,000 that are estimated to come across now. What I think the president's trying to do.
Exactly, but I'm still confused by the language. What is if we have 500,000 are coming across now illegally? Are you saying the Border Patrol and the military that's now down there aren't doing enough? Does shutting it down mean that it's going to be shoot on sight? What does shutting down the border mean?
In my opinion, and for what I've heard before we left for the break for Thanksgiving, was what was going to happen was there was going to be points of entry that were manned, and it could be a legal process of people getting through. The fact that it's a porous border now, that's why we need the wall. That's why the president is trying to get the funding before December 7th to stop the illegal immigration that's such a security issue for America. Okay. And shutting it down, to me, means trying to find those points that people have been able to come across and stop it.
But isn't that what the Border Patrol and the military is already supposed to be doing for the past couple of decades and been unable to do? How does the president say shut it down make them any more able to do it today than they weren't able to do it 10 days ago?
Well, the 2,000 miles, it's impossible without a wall to control it completely. The wall is going to allow points of entry, and that's what he's saying now. We don't have that wall. And does illegal immigration occur? Yes. And
the president's saying that if Mexico won't allow the asylum seekers to stay there, he's going to shut down the border. He's already said he's going to build a wall, so conceivably shutting down the border means something different. But I'm not hearing from you an explanation of actually what it means that's different tomorrow when the border is shut down than today when, quote unquote, it's not.
Well, from what I understand, it means that the barbed wire fences that's been put up now to stop the caravans, and you can see the caravans and where they're entering. Now, hopefully Mexico will comply, and that the United States can help us, because it's our problem. But Mexico's got a problem too. And the great thing about
hold on. Let me go ahead, Congressman.
Let me just finish. What I understand is that with the mass groups that are coming in on caravan vans, that he's putting those things in place that will stop them as they spread out, and once the caravan stops, hopefully it's going to be in Mexico. And the great thing about it, it's going to be a deterrent for those coming after them. It's going to be a mass. You're talking about the protest. Look at the issues that are going. When you put that many people
Congressman,
in a location.
you've been talking about caravans. You've been talking about a lot of things. I'm still confused. What is the president going to do different tomorrow when he, quote unquote, shuts down the border than is done now? Are the orders going to change to the military? Is there going to be more barbed wire? Are you going to deploy extra Border Patrol agents? And how do you shut something down that we've been unable to shut down, by your own admission, for decades? I get building the wall, but that's a long time off, and there's no funding for it. So what does shut down the wall, shut down the border actually mean?
From my understanding, what it means is it's a combination of all the above: barbed wire fences, National Guard, more troops to stop what's going on.
Okay.
Now, is he going to stop? Is he going to shut it down 100%? Probably not. But in the areas that you have the masses of people who are trying to enter this country illegally, he's going to try to stop it. And by shutting it down means those points that they're getting across now illegally, he's going to try to stop it.
All right. Appreciate the answer there. As you mentioned, more National Guard troops, more barbed wire. We'll see what the orders are to the Defense Department. Congressman, appreciate it as always. Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right. Kristen?